Is it possible that it's only the beginning of March and I already have a contender for Book of the Year? Hey everyone, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem, and this is my weekly reading roundup for the week ending March 3rd, 2025. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also booktuber. You can find my music in the Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Material Season 3, and the newly released Blessed Be the Eternal, the Edan Trilogy main theme by Booktube's own Philip Chase. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a weekly reading roundup, which for those of you who are new to the channel, I like doing this every week. It's kind of like a weekly update, I guess you could say. But I like to offer a kind of slightly different perspective in the sense that I pepper it in with kind of books and what I'm reading, what I'm going to read and all that. But then I also talk a little bit about things that are happening on the music front, because some of the music projects I worked on, the Edan Trilogy main theme being case in point, are sometimes Booktube adjacent, or they have kind of relevance to the kinds of books that we read. So I like to specialize in book adaptations whenever I can, and it's always nice when you get a chance to talk about two loves for the price of one, right? So without further ado, if you like this kind of video, please like and subscribe. And now, as always, on to the books. So I only got a chance to read 2/3 of the smallest book on my list for February this last week, because it's been kind of a tough week. I don't know, it's just like I felt like I woke up earlier, actually. I was waking up at like 5 a.m., but, and maybe it's just the time change of, I usually wake up like around 6:30 or 7. And waking up at 5 was no small feat, but I almost felt like I had less time to read. I don't know if it's because I was spending more time on work, if I was just more tired during the day and just like not in the mood to dive into a book. And also I was diving into kind of a heavy book. So let's talk a little bit about that. I have been reading and kind of focused all my attention on 1984, George Orwell's dystopian masterpiece, one that gets more relevant as the years go by. I'd heard so much about this book, and so, you know, I feel like sometimes it's very easy to dismiss a book as being cliche. You know, you always hear Big Brother's always watching, you know, all these kind of phrases that are depicted in this book, or themes that are tackled. And it's very easy to go, okay, yeah, you know, it was maybe the grandfather of dystopian as a genre. But, you know, this was written in 1949, and it's so interesting to me how fresh the ideas are, how relevant they are to the times. And I'm not just talking about like the big overarching themes. I'm talking about stuff that is very specific and very detail oriented. Like, for example, and this is non-spoiler, you know, this is just like little anecdotes at the very beginning of the book. He talks about how people would have these hate weeks where they were kind of like express with a physical violent reaction their moral outrage, you know, based on specific things that are happening, you know, as a collective society. How the government is like deleting words from the popular jargon, how people have so many subscriptions that it's hard for them to keep a track, how the news ends up making them, you know, choose which is the thing to be outraged about this week. Literally all this stuff is tackled in this book. It's absurd how similar it is to the times we're living in. And maybe that's also part of it. It is probably one of the best books I've read in recent memory. And it is in contender for my book of the year already, I can tell, because I'm 2/3 done with it, and it is a book that really makes you think. You know, it makes you think about where the world is headed, about your place in the world, about the fact that, you know, people can write something like this in 1949 and it's still being timeless. But it's a very hard to read book because it is beautifully written, but it is terrifying. It is probably one of the most terrifying books I've ever read. I would put it right up there with Stephen King's best in terms of scary, because it's so rooted in real life. It's one thing I love about, side tangent for Stephen King, one thing I love about Stephen King is he always roots it in something real, right? So that's where the true terror comes from, and I feel like George Orwell does this in spades. And I can't impress upon you enough, if you haven't checked out this book, highly recommend you check it out, not only because it's prescient for the times we live in, but also, you know, it's just a beautifully written book. Like it tackles so many themes that I think it's an important book that we should all be reading. And I'm glad I read it, that I'm reading it now, and I kind of wish I'd read it sooner, because it's one of those books that it's like, if there was top 100 books to read before you die, this should be on it. So it's a cautionary tale, and I'm excited to kind of read through it. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to read, because that's about as far as I got. 200 pages in this book. So my kind of slowest reading week, but I'm glad I kind of took my time with this and let it marinate, because a book this good deserves it. So what am I going to read this week? I'm going to finish 1984, probably finish it today. So I'm filming this on Sunday, so you're going to be watching it on Monday, presumably, and I'll probably already have finished this. And I'll probably do a dedicated review on the channel, because I feel like this is a book that deserves to be talked about in this modern age. Other book I want to read, I want to kind of restart James Michener's Alaska. Now, this is historical fiction. I've been wanting to read this entire since I first started it on a cruise with my wife to Alaska in August of last year. I only got about 100 pages in. I think I'm just going to restart it because I loved what I read so far, and I'm really looking forward to kind of just falling head over heels into this. So this will balance out some of the fantasy reads that I'm going to also be reading this week. And that leads me to the magnificent Jenny Wirtz's Wars of Light and Shadow, part of our soft read-along. We are starting Ships of Merrier. This is the second book in the Wars of Light and Shadow series, and actually, interesting thing about this hardcover, and the reason why I'm kind of having us do this book in the next 2 months, essentially. But this book includes books 2 and 3 in this edition. The reason being is that was Jenny Wirtz's original intention. She wanted this arc of the story to be told in one volume. Now, the publisher in the US, I believe, it might have been, I forget which publisher, might have been the UK publisher. They split it up into Ships of Merrier and War Hosts of Vastmark, I think it's called. And so she highly recommended on a live stream that she kindly came onto our channel and, spoke to us and everything. And I'm linking that video up here if you want to see it. But she said that, it would be a really good idea to read this as one collected work. So we are going to read this over the months of March and April. If you want to join, it's not too late. We're only one book deep into the series so far, so easy to catch up. But I'm going to read just a couple chapters, maybe a chapter a day or something like that. I think that's the best pace for this, because Jenny Wirtz's writing is beautiful. It forces you to slow down and really appreciate the depth of her world, her characters, and also how subtle she makes things. There's very subtle shifts that make you either side with a character, make you go against a character, and that can change on a dime, because we are all complex beings, right? There is no real unequivocally good, unequivocally bad. There are lots of shades of gray, and she's really good at capturing that in this book. So I'm excited to read a few chapters of this one. And then I'm going to be reading 2 other fantasy books. One is Ship of Magic, which is a buddy read with Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, and also John from Disquiet and Dragons. So we've been kind of slowly making our way through this one, and we're just going to kind of take it at a slow pace. It's been actually really nice. We get to chat on Instagram a little bit and just, on the direct messages, and just chat about chapters as we read them. But we will likely do a discussion at some point on one of our channels or something. So we'll keep you posted when that happens. But really excited to kind of dive deeper into Robin Hobb's world, because it's automatically already my favorite in her realm of Elderlings 16-book series so far. So I'm excited to see kind of how that story, that volume of the story concludes. I'm also going to finally continue on with Dead House Gates. This is book 2 of Malazan Book of the Fallen, our official channel read along. So I kind of fell on the back burner of this one because I was reading 1984 and Dead House Gates at the same time, and they are both very bleak. They're both very heavy. They tackle very difficult subject matter, and I was having a hard time balancing both without getting super depressed. So I decided, okay, I'll finish this today or tomorrow, and then I can, start on Dead House Gates again, because it is easily my favorite of the 2 Malazan books that I've read so far, and it has convinced me that I'm going to continue not only the 10 big books in the main Book of the Fallen series, but also read some of the side novels and Carcana's trilogy and all the other stuff. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that final stretch of that book concludes, because if I remember correctly, it's a reread from a few years ago. It's a pretty heavy ending, so I'm excited to check that out. So that's kind of what I'm going to read, a smattering of very different types of books. And then let's talk a little bit about channel updates, because very cool things happened on the channel this week. We are now at 1,050 subscribers. So really wonderful to see so many new faces and people in the comments. And in the Discord channel, we now have 65 people on the Discord channel eagerly talking about the books they love. And it is open to all. Please feel free to join in the link below. We also have the FABLE app where we're going chapter by chapter on the read-along books, which you could check out there. And then also a read-along calendar if you want to kind of join in some of those. But really nice to see so many people joining. And, our community grows ever stronger, ever larger. And we get more diverse conversations. And that's what this community is all about, really. So thank you for being here from the bottom of my heart. And to commemorate that, we had, just today actually, I'm filming this right after the live stream we did, but we had a 1,000 subscribers special live stream. If you missed it, you can check it out up here as well. And we had some special guests on the channel. We had the wonderful Dr. Fantasy himself, Philip Chase, the author of the Idan trilogy, talk with us for an hour. It was really nice to have him on. Thank you so much, Philip, for taking the time and coming and celebrating with us. And you were just a beacon of light on Booktube, my friend. And anytime we get a chance to chat is a wonderful time, my friend. And then we also had Bookish Chaz from Bookish Chaz. Of course, always good to chat with him as well. Chaz, thank you for taking the time, man. And I'm really, really looking forward to more conversations. We're actually going to do a Chaz and Friends conversation on his channel in a couple weeks, so I'll keep you posted on when that happens. We also had John from Disquiet and Dragons in the discussion as well. John, thank you for being there, man. I love John's channel. If you haven't checked it out, I linked all of those as well below, so you could check out their channels. Check out Philip's books. Check out Chaz's book as well. They are both published authors, wonderful authors, and definitely check those out as well. And then we had the wonderful, magnificent Jenny Wirtz in the comment section in the chat as well, answering questions and, asking questions as well during the AMA segment. So it was just a lovely chat with everybody. And we had 20 strong, really active in the chat, asking all sorts of questions. So it was great to be able to celebrate that milestone with all of you, because as I always say, this may be my channel in name, but I'm just the steward and guardian of the channel. I really consider this our channel. That's why I also like to let you know how the channel is doing week to week, because, we're all kind of invested in seeing this community grow, right? Isn't that kind of the fun of it? And we all have a huge part of it, right? I mean, you all have a huge part to making the community what it is. It would not be without you. So always like to let you know about that. And then beyond those videos, I also released a March TBR video, which I'm also linking up there if you want to check it out. I always like to release this a few days early in case people want to jump on any unofficial read-alongs or buddy reads or anything. I can make relevant channels in the Discord. But yeah, you get I kind of teased a couple of the books that I'm reading in March, case in point. But there's some other ones on there as well, so you can check those out. So let's talk a little bit about the channel schedule. So I had wanted to do a monthly wrap-up last Friday. Things got a little bit busy with work and stuff, so I'm going to actually post that video on Wednesday. That's kind of a lowdown of what happened in February, both on the channel, any notable videos or interesting things happened, of course, and then also the books read. Did I actually hit my impossibly, large TBR goals or not? Well, you'll find out in that video. So that's going to be on Wednesday. On Friday, I had also promised you all I would do a books that make you think, books in series, really. And I want to kind of get back to that and actually post that on Friday. So that will be coming out on Friday, rest assured. But basically just a smattering of books and series in various genres, things that have shaped the way I see my worldview. There may be some newer entries on there, some older ones, some classics that I've read recently, some, kind of newer books that I've read a while back, stuff like that. So there'll be a diverse list of things that make you think, make you philosophize, make you see the world in a different view. So that's kind of what's planned on the channel for this week. Let's talk a little bit about the music segment. So for those of you who don't know, the Idan trilogy theme is now out on Spotify. So you could check that out. I'm linking that below as well. And that is the official main theme for Philip Chase's magnificent Idan trilogy, which you also have to check out, and I'm also linking below. And I will shout about this from the rooftops if I need to, because people really need to read this fantasy series. And I mean that. It balances this beautiful blend of Eastern philosophy and also kind of Norse fantasy, traditional fantasy, done in a very unique way. I just love Philip's writing, and I just love the guy as a person, and it was an honor to work on that with him. So that is out now. And then also, as of this taping, I'm going to be starting on a comedy horror film. So that'll be kind of fun, balancing a few of those elements as well. It's a short film. And it's a kind of a great chance to meet some new directors and stuff. So it's been a fun kind of start to that journey. I'm also working on 2 video games, one of which my wife is leading the charge on as lead producer and co-founder of the studio called Cursed Magic. So they are making a game that is very reminiscent of, how do I put it, like anime, Sailor Moon, that kind of stuff, magical girl stuff. So I'm going to be working on a track for that this week. So I'm very excited for that. And then also, I got a chance to attend yesterday. The Society of Composers and Lyricists had an Oscars reception. So they honor all the Oscar nominees every year. So I got a chance to see, all the nominated composers there, got to meet some of them. And I even got to see the lyricist for Elton John, Bernie Taupin, was there accepting an award as well. And so it was really cool to see him. And he walked right by me. I wanted to say hi, but he seemed like he wanted to get out of there at some point. So I just admired him from afar. But it was kind of amazing as an Elton John fan, seeing him and being so close to him, literally like 3 feet away from him. So that was kind of the music little segment here. But most importantly, I always want to hear from you all. I always love the dialogue, and I'm sure you do too. So let's chat about it in the comments, in the Discord, anywhere you so choose. Let me know what you read this week. Let me know how your week went, good or bad, anything that we can do to just have a nice conversation together. It's always great to be able to chat with you and find out more about what has been making you extra excited this week, both books or life-wise. So with that, I'm Nick Hill with Shelf-Esteem. Please like and subscribe. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other always. I will see you on the next video. Take care.